I'm a 67-year-old grandmother from Ohio, and for 20 long years I lived with diabetes. 20 years of pricking my finger 4 times a day, swallowing handfuls of pills, watching my blood sugar numbers climb higher and higher despite everything I tried. 20 years of doctors telling me it would only get worse, that complications were inevitable, that I'd probably need insulin soon. But today, I'm here to tell you something that will shock you, something that will probably make your doctor angry. After 2 decades of struggling with diabetes, I found one simple kitchen spice that changed everything. Not only did it bring my blood sugar down to normal levels, but my last 3 A1C tests have been in the non-diabetic range. My doctor can't explain it. The pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know about it. But I'm going to share it with you today because every American deserves to know the truth. My name is Sarah, and this is my story. 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Like millions of Americans, I trusted my doctor completely. He handed me a prescription for metformin and told me to cut back on sugar. "It's genetic," he said. "Your pancreas is wearing out. This is just how it is." I believed him. For 2 decades, I believed him. I followed every rule. I counted carbs religiously. I checked my blood sugar so many times my fingertips were permanently scarred. I took my pills every morning without fail. I tried every diet, low-fat, low-carb, Mediterranean, you name it. Nothing worked. My A1C kept climbing, from 7.2 to 8.1 to 8.9. My doctor added more pills. Then he started talking about insulin. "Mrs. Johnson," he said during one visit, "we need to face reality. Your diabetes is progressing. That's what it does. We'll start you on insulin next month." I left that office feeling defeated. Hopeless, like my body had betrayed me, and there was nothing I could do about it. But that night, something happened that changed everything. I was having dinner with my daughter Jennifer when she mentioned her friend Maria, who had recently moved to Ohio from Guatemala. "Mom," Jennifer said, "you should meet Maria. She's been telling me about how her grandmother in Guatemala treated diabetes. Maria says her grandmother lived to 94 and never took a single diabetes pill." I'll be honest, I was skeptical. I mean, what could a Guatemalan grandmother possibly know that American doctors didn't? But I was desperate. When you're facing insulin injections for the rest of your life, you'll listen to anyone. The next week, Jennifer brought Maria over for coffee. Maria was a soft-spoken woman in her 50s who worked as a nurse at our local hospital. She understood both traditional medicine and modern healthcare. When I told her about my diabetes struggle, her eyes lit up. "My grandmother, she always said diabetes is not a disease of the pancreas," Maria explained in her gentle accent. "She said it's a disease of inflammation. The sugar, it's not the problem. The inflammation, that's the problem." She went on to tell me about a spice her grandmother used every single day, a common spice that most Americans have in their kitchen but never think of as medicine. Her grandmother would mix this spice with a few other ingredients and drink it every morning. Maria said her grandmother's blood sugar was perfect until the day she died, despite eating rice and beans at every meal. That spice was turmeric. Now, I know what you're thinking, turmeric. That yellow powder I use in curry maybe once a year? How could that possibly cure diabetes? I thought the same thing. But Maria explained something that no American doctor had ever told me. "Turmeric contains curcumin," she said. "In Guatemala, we know curcumin is more powerful than many medicines. It stops the inflammation that makes your cells resist insulin. It helps your liver process sugar better. It protects your kidneys and your heart from damage." My grandmother, she took this every day for 60 years. Never sick, never any diabetes problems. Maria wrote down her grandmother's exact recipe on a piece of paper. It was so simple I almost didn't believe it could work. But what did I have to lose? Here's what she wrote: 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, a pinch of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and warm water. Mix it all together and drink it first thing every morning on an empty stomach. The black pepper, it's very important, Maria emphasized. Without black pepper, your body cannot absorb the curcumin, and the olive oil, it helps your body use the curcumin better. My grandmother never forgot the black pepper. That night, I looked up everything I could find about turmeric and diabetes. What I discovered absolutely shocked me. There were hundreds of scientific studies showing that curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, could lower blood sugar as effectively as many diabetes medications. Study after study showed it could improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and even help repair damaged pancreatic cells. One study from Thailand showed that people who took curcumin for 9 months saw their A1C drop by an average of 1.2 points. Another study from India found that curcumin could prevent pre-diabetes from progressing to full diabetes in 100% of participants. A third study showed that curcumin was as effective as metformin for controlling blood sugar, but without any of the side effects. Why hadn't my doctor told me about this? Why hadn't I heard about this on the news? Why wasn't this information everywhere? The answer, I would learn, is money. Turmeric costs about 50 cents per pound. You can't patent a natural spice. Pharmaceutical companies can't make billions of dollars from something you can buy at any grocery store. So this information gets buried, dismissed, ignored by the medical establishment. But I decided to try it anyway. The first morning I mixed up Maria's grandmother's recipe. It tasted earthy and slightly bitter, but not unpleasant. I drank it down and went about my day, not expecting much. 3 days later, something strange happened. My morning blood sugar reading was 142. That might not sound impressive to someone without diabetes, but for me, who usually woke up with readings between 180 and 220, this was shocking. I thought it was a fluke. Maybe my glucose meter was broken. But the next morning, it was 138. The morning after that, 145. For the first time in 20 years, my morning readings were consistently under 150. After 2 weeks, my average morning reading was 132. After a month, it was 125. I was still taking my regular medications, but my blood sugar was more stable than it had been in years. My energy was coming back. The constant thirst that had plagued me for decades was gone. I was sleeping better. The brain fog that made me feel like I was thinking through molasses was lifting. But I was still skeptical. I thought maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe my other medications were finally working better. I didn't want to get my hopes up. Then came my 3-month checkup with my doctor. When the A1C results came back, Dr. Patterson called me personally. "Sarah," he said, "I need you to come in. We need to talk about your lab results." My heart sank. I thought something was wrong. When I got to his office, he had my chart open and was staring at it with a confused expression. "Your A1C is 6.8, he said. 3 months ago it was 8.9. That's not possible. The lab must have made a mistake, but it wasn't a mistake. He ran the test again. Same result, 6.8. For the first time in over a decade, my A1C was below 7.0. I was officially no longer in the diabetic range for that measurement. "What did you do?" he asked. "Did you start a new medication? Did you drastically change your diet?" I told him about Maria's grandmother's turmeric recipe. He looked at me like I had told him I was drinking unicorn tears. "Sarah," he said, "turmeric is not medicine. It's a spice. This improvement must be from your other medications finally working properly." But I knew better. The only thing that had changed was adding turmeric to my morning routine. Over the next 6 months, my A1C continued to drop 6.5, then 6.2, then 5.9. My doctor was baffled. He kept reducing my medications because my blood sugar was getting too low. The man who had told me I'd need insulin was now telling me to cut back on my pills. But the real proof came when I decided to do something that terrified me. I asked my doctor if I could stop taking metformin for 1 month to see what happened. He was reluctant, but agreed to monitor me closely. That month, taking only turmeric and watching my diet, my blood sugar remained perfectly normal. My A1C stayed at 5.9. When I told Dr. Patterson, he just shook his head. "I can't explain this," he admitted. "According to everything I learned in medical school, this shouldn't be possible. But your numbers don't lie." That was 2 years ago. Today, I take no diabetes medications. My last day was 5.7. My morning blood sugars average 95. I have more energy at 67 than I had at 50. My vision has improved. The tingling in my feet that I thought was permanent diabetic neuropathy has completely disappeared. But here's what really makes me angry. When I tried to share my story with other diabetics in my community, many of them told me their doctors had warned them against natural remedies. "Don't believe everything you read on the internet," these doctors said. "Stick to proven medications." Proven medications. My proven medications had failed me for 20 years. They had made me sicker, not better. They had convinced me that diabetes was a progressive disease that would only get worse. They had prepared me for insulin, for complications, for a shortened life. Meanwhile, a simple spice that cost 50 cents had done what $3,000 worth of monthly medications couldn't do. It had given me my life back. So I started researching more. What I found made me even angrier. Turmeric has been used to treat diabetes, like conditions for over 4,000 years in Ayurvedic medicine. Ancient Indian texts describe it as a remedy for excessive urination and sweet-tasting urine. Clear descriptions of diabetes symptoms. Traditional Chinese medicine has used turmeric for blood sugar balance for centuries. Modern science has confirmed what ancient healers knew. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, works through multiple pathways to restore normal blood sugar control. First, it reduces inflammation throughout the body. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of insulin resistance. When your cells are inflamed, they can't respond properly to insulin signals. Curcumin acts like a fire extinguisher for cellular inflammation, allowing insulin to work normally again. Second, curcumin helps your liver process glucose more effectively. The liver plays a crucial role in blood sugar control, storing excess glucose and releasing it when needed. In diabetics, the liver often becomes insulin resistant and dumps too much glucose into the bloodstream. Curcumin helps restore normal liver function. Third, curcumin may help regenerate pancreatic beta cells, the cells that produce insulin. Most doctors believe these cells are permanently damaged in diabetics, but recent research suggests curcumin might help them recover. Fourth, curcumin improves the function of your cellular powerhouses, the mitochondria. When mitochondria work better, your cells can process glucose more efficiently. But here's the key detail that Maria's grandmother knew, and that most Americans don't. Curcumin by itself is poorly absorbed by the body. That's why the black pepper is essential. Black pepper contains piperine, a compound that increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Without black pepper, you might as well be throwing turmeric in the trash. The olive oil is important too. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it needs fat to be properly absorbed. The healthy fats in olive oil act as a delivery system, carrying curcumin into your bloodstream where it can do its work. This is why Maria's grandmother's recipe was so specific. Every ingredient had a purpose. Every detail mattered. But turmeric isn't the only kitchen ingredient that can help reverse diabetes. Through my research and experimentation, I discovered several other common spices and foods that work synergistically with turmeric to restore normal blood sugar control. Cinnamon is probably the most well-known. Ceylon cinnamon, not the common cassia cinnamon found in most grocery stores, contains compounds that mimic insulin and help cells absorb glucose more effectively. Studies show that just half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon daily can lower fasting blood sugar by 10–15%. Fenugreek seeds, common in Middle Eastern cooking, contain soluble fiber that slows glucose absorption and helps control post-meal blood sugar spikes. Fenugreek also appears to help regenerate pancreatic beta cells. Bitter melon, popular in Asian cuisines, contains compounds that act like natural insulin. In fact, bitter melon extract has been shown to be as effective as some diabetes medications for controlling blood sugar. Apple cider vinegar, especially when taken before meals, can reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 30%. The acetic acid in vinegar appears to slow the digestion of starches and improve insulin sensitivity. Chromium, found in broccoli, grapes, and whole grains, helps insulin work more effectively. Many diabetics are deficient in chromium, and supplementing with this mineral can significantly improve blood sugar control. Alpha-lipoic acid, found in spinach and broccoli, is a powerful antioxidant that can help repair diabetic nerve damage and improve insulin sensitivity. Magnesium, found in leafy greens, nuts, and seeds, is essential for proper insulin function. Over 70% of diabetics are magnesium deficient, and correcting this deficiency can dramatically improve blood sugar control. But of all these natural remedies, turmeric remains the most powerful and the most suppressed. Why don't doctors recommend turmeric for diabetes? The answer is complex, but it comes down to money and medical education. Medical schools receive significant funding from pharmaceutical companies. Students learn about drugs, not nutrition. They're taught to diagnose diseases and prescribe medications, not to address root causes with natural remedies. Once doctors are in practice, they continue to rely on pharmaceutical representatives for education about new treatments. These representatives aren't going to promote turmeric because there's no money in it. Insurance companies won't pay for turmeric, but they'll pay thousands of dollars for diabetes medications. Hospitals make money from diabetic complications, dialysis, amputations, heart surgeries. They don't make money from healthy patients who no longer need medical intervention. The entire system is designed to keep you sick and dependent on medications. Natural remedies that actually cure diseases threaten this profit model. But the science is clear. Turmeric works. It's safe. It's affordable. And it's been hiding in your kitchen cabinet all along. Let me share some of the research that convinced me turmeric was worth trying. A 2013 study published in the International Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism found that curcumin supplementation reduced fasting blood glucose A1C and insulin resistance in people with type 2 diabetes. The improvements were seen in just 8 weeks. A 2014 study in clinical nutrition showed that curcumin was as effective as the diabetes drug glibenclamide for controlling blood sugar, but with fewer side effects. A 2019 study in Nutrients Journal found that curcumin could prevent the progression from pre-diabetes to type 2 diabetes in 100% of study participants over 9 months. A 2020 study in phytotherapy research showed that curcumin supplementation led to significant improvements in insulin sensitivity and beta cell function in people with metabolic syndrome. Study after study confirms what Maria's grandmother knew instinctively: turmeric is powerful medicine for blood sugar disorders. But not all turmeric is created equal. The turmeric powder you find in most American grocery stores is often old, has low curcumin content, and may be contaminated with heavy metals or artificial colors. For therapeutic purposes, you need high-quality, organic turmeric with a standardized curcumin content. You also need to prepare it correctly. Simply sprinkling turmeric on your food won't give you therapeutic benefits. You need the bioavailability enhancers, black pepper, and healthy fats to ensure proper absorption. Here's the exact recipe that changed my life. 1 teaspoon organic turmeric powder, 1.8 teaspoon freshly ground black pepper, 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil, 8 ounces warm water optional. Squeeze of fresh lemon juice for taste. Mix all ingredients together and drink immediately on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Wait at least 30 minutes before eating breakfast. The taste takes some getting used to, but after a few days you'll actually start to crave it. Your body will recognize it as medicine. I've now shared this recipe with dozens of people in my community. The results have been remarkable. My neighbor Bob saw his A1C drop from 8.4 to 6.9 in 4 months. Mary from my church was able to stop taking her diabetes medication after 8 months of the turmeric protocol. Jim, who was headed for insulin, watched his fasting glucose drop from 210 to 125 in just 6 weeks. But here's what frustrates me most: these success stories should be front-page news. They should be taught in medical schools. They should be standard treatment for every diabetic in America. Instead, they're dismissed as anecdotal evidence. They're ignored by the medical establishment. They're suppressed by pharmaceutical interests who profit from keeping people sick. Meanwhile, diabetes rates continue to climb. Over 37 million Americans now have diabetes, another 96 million have pre-diabetes. The direct medical costs exceed $400 billion annually. The human cost: amputations, blindness, kidney failure, heart disease, early death is incalculable. All while the solution sits in kitchen cabinets across America, ignored and forgotten. But there's hope. People are waking up. They're questioning the medical establishment. They're looking for natural alternatives. They're sharing their success stories despite medical skepticism. Social media has made it impossible to completely suppress this information. People like me can share our experiences with thousands of others. Natural health practitioners can reach patients who would never have found them before. The pharmaceutical industry's stranglehold on health information is breaking down. And it's about time. If you're struggling with diabetes, if you're tired of taking handfuls of pills that don't seem to help, if you're afraid of complications and insulin dependence, I want you to know there's another way. Your body has an incredible capacity to heal itself when given the right tools. Turmeric is one of those tools. It's not a magic bullet. You still need to eat well, exercise, and take care of yourself. But it can be the catalyst that jumpstarts your body's natural healing processes. Don't let anyone tell you that natural remedies don't work. Don't let anyone convince you that diabetes is a progressive disease that only gets worse. Don't let anyone profit from your suffering when safe, affordable solutions exist. Try Maria's grandmother's recipe for 30 days. Track your blood sugar carefully. See what happens. If it works for you like it worked for me, share your story. Help other people discover that they have options beyond endless medications and inevitable complications. Your doctor might not approve. The pharmaceutical companies certainly won't. But your body will thank you. Your family will thank you. And you'll have taken control of your health in a way that few Americans ever do. 20 years of diabetes taught me to trust the medical system blindly. 2 years of turmeric taught me to trust my body's wisdom instead. That shift in perspective didn't just change my blood sugar numbers, it changed my entire life. I'm 67 years old and I feel better than I did at 40. My energy is boundless. My mind is clear. My future is bright. All because I learned to look beyond pills and prescriptions to the healing power that was hiding in my kitchen all along. The spice that saved my life costs 50 cents a pound. It's available at every grocery store in America. It's been used safely for thousands of years. And it might just be the key to ending the diabetes epidemic that's destroying so many lives. But only if we're brave enough to try it. Only if we're willing to trust ancient wisdom over modern medicine. Only if we're ready to take control of our health instead of surrendering it to a system that profits from our illness. The choice is yours. You can continue down the path of increasing medications, worsening complications, and diminishing hope. Or you can try something different. Something natural. Something that just might give you back the healthy, vibrant life you thought was lost forever. I know which path I chose, and I've never looked back.